everyone, today we're going to go over how to create our In the Hoop pumpkins. This is Rhonda with the Stitch in Time Embroidery Designs, and we are going to show you how to do this. First, we're going to hoop 2 layers of water-soluble stabilizer, the mesh kind. We're going to get 6 pieces of orange stiffened felt, and we're going to load a orange bobbin into the bobbin case of our machine. Load that hoop on there. By the way, we're doing the size for the 6x6 hoop in this video. And the first step is going to stitch a placement line for the felt. This whole design is 3 different pieces, and each piece is going to use 2 pieces of those stiffened felt. So it's just stitching a placement line directly onto the water-soluble stabilizer. And then we're going to take it off the machine and center one of those pieces of stiffened felt right over that placement line and tape that into place. And then you're going to take a book or a small piece of a wool pad or something and put it underneath the hoop, turn it over to the back, and center the other piece over. Putting something underneath the hoop stops you from pressing down too hard on that stabilizer and causing the stabilizer to become loose in the hoop. You can use a small book, a piece of ironing pad, whatever you have that'll fit under. So we're going to take it back to the machine, and it is going to stitch the shape of the first section. Section 1 on the pumpkin has the stem on it. Sections 2 and 3 do not. We'll take that off of the machine, bring it back to our cutting table, remove the tape, and we're going to trim that excess felt from the outside edges of the pumpkin. I'm using a Kai double curved blunt tip scissors to do this. It's really easy to trim applique or something like this in the hoop with it. And that middle section is kind of narrow. So what I learned is that it's easier if you cut part of the way through it and get that little section out and then do the rest of it instead of trying to cut all the way up to the end of it. This seems to work easier for me. It might for you too. We're going to put that little pad that I cut underneath the hoop, take the tape off, and then I can work on the back side without pressing down on that stabilizer and loosening it in the hoop. I have hoop and press pads from Embroidery Garden, but I don't have one to fit that size hoop, so I just cut a piece of a wool ironing pad to fit in that hoop. We're going to do the same thing on the back side and cut it away. And then we're going to bring it back to the machine. And we're going to change out the orange bobbin for a green one because we're making a green stem. If you want to make a brown stem, then you use brown thread. I'm going to change the thread on the top also. And load the hoop back on, and it's going to stitch out the stem. We recommend stitching that because that's actually freestanding lace for the stem. We recommend stitching it at 600 stitches per minute. Of course, the video here is sped up a lot so that it doesn't take as long for you to watch me do it here. But we do recommend stitching out any freestanding lace at 600 stitches per minute. Okay, so now we have the stem all stitched. We're going to change the bobbin back to orange. And the next step is going to stitch the lines in the pumpkin to give it that contoured look. We did make the lines here in a different color change. So it has a color change between this and the orange satin stitch that goes around the outside edge, so that you can skip this part that you're watching stitch right now. If you want to cover the felt with a pretty fabric, instead of just leaving it felt like that, you can fuse with Madeira Applique Magic or Heat and Bond Light or something like that, and fuse a fabric on top of that felt to give it a whole different look. And you might want to skip this part. So that part we have in a section where you can skip it. You'll see it has a color change right now, and it's going to go to a whole different area. So you can easily just, skip that part on your machine if you want to. So now it's stitching the outside satin edge, making it all nice and neat. And of course, this is really sped up too. I actually stitched out this entire pumpkin design at 600 stitches per minute. It really is cute, covered in fabric also. It gives it a whole different look. And it's easy to do. All you do is you take those little rectangles of felt, of stiffened felt, and before you start this, you'll just fuse some fabric to one side of each piece before you start, and the directions would be exactly the same. All right, so it's almost finished stitching the outside edge, and you're going to stitch sections 2 and 3 the same way, except you won't have to do the stem. It's just going to be orange thread in the bobbin. All right, so now we take this section 1 off of the hoop, off of the machine. We're going to remove it from the hoop. We're going to trim away all the excess stabilizer. I did speed that up here. I'm actually being really careful not to cut those satin stitches on the edges. I want to get as much of this stabilizer off as I can without, accidentally cutting any of the stitches in the design. I'm going to trim away the tie-in and tie-offs on the back side. And there's really only 2, so that doesn't take long. And I'm going to grab a little bowl of hot water and a small paintbrush. I'm going to dip the stem, that's freestanding lace part, in the hot water to get rid of all the stabilizer. And then I'm just going to go right around the edges with the hot water and the brush. And the reason I'm doing it this way is because I don't want to dip the whole thing in water. It's going to take forever to dry. So I just like doing it with just a little bowl and a paintbrush like this. It doesn't take very long. The drying time is a lot shorter. Just going to go up in the middle like that and get rid of all of that excess water-soluble stabilizer there. And we're just going to grab a towel after and lay them out to dry. Just put your water aside, put a towel down, blot out any excess water from the edges that you can. It'll help it dry that much faster. And lay them out, and then you have all 3 pieces. When they're completely dry, you're just going to take, they have section 1, 2, and 3. You're going to take that middle section, and then section 3, and you're going to slide 2 over 3. And then you just slide section 1 down over them. It kind of looks like a star from the top, and that's how it looks from the bottom. So they stand up. You can stitch out your own little pumpkin patch. Like I said in the beginning, they do come in sizes to fit a 4x4, 6x6, and 8x8 hoop. And they also ship really easy if you just take them apart. You can ship them in a bubble envelope for gifts or anything, just like our In the Hoop Christmas trees. That's why I like these little things. They're easy to pack away. So we have 3 different sizes available at stitchandtimedesigns.com. And I hope this helped and you enjoyed this video tutorial.